What's going on, everybody? This is Chris Martinez from Dynamic Duo Training.
And this is Eric Martinez.
And today, thank you guys for joining us on this video. We're going to talk about the hierarchy of nutrition. We didn't personally come up with this hierarchy of nutrition. We actually got this from Eric Helms. He's the one that actually came up with this, but we just figured that this is just, such great, valuable information, and that we can pass it on to you guys to kind of help you guys out, with your guys' nutrition, and to make sure that you guys are on the right path to a proper nutrition program. Okay, so we're gonna go, dive into this and just start off and start talking about each bullet point. Okay,
and we'll try not to make this too boring.
Exactly. You have two twins right here with big eyebrows, so it can't be too boring. All right, so first is adherence, lifestyle, and behavior. Okay, so that's one of the biggest things that people kind of overlook when they start their nutrition program. The first thing you got to understand is adherence. Okay, if you're not adhering to a program and you're not being consistent with it, then you're not going to get results no matter what. You can have the perfect calorie range, you can have the perfect macronutrients, you can have the most optimal training program, but if you don't sit there and have any type of adherence or consistency, then none of it's going to matter. Okay, from there you want to look at lifestyle and behavior. Okay, you don't want these type of nutrition practices to become a negative behavioral habit in your guys' lives, right? So you want this to transition into a lifestyle, something you're going to be able to sustain for a long time, and stuff that you're going to be able to ease into your lifestyle and not make it so complicated with other things and make it a headache. Okay, and also with behavioral issues, you don't want to start developing these weird habits and behavioral issues like at social parties or with your relationships with your girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever it is, your friends. So those are some key things you want to understand before we even hop into anything with the nutrition: is adherence, consistency, lifestyle, and behavior. Okay.
All right, so the next bullet point on the hierarchy of nutrition is energy balance. And when we refer to energy balance, we're talking about overall calorie intake, okay? The calories that you're going to be expending on a week-to-week basis. So pretty much it's, calories in versus calories out, okay? So you're always going to want to first determine, what your overall goal is going to be. So whether you want to be in a weight loss phase, a calorie deficit, or whether you want to gain weight, a calorie surplus, those are very, very key. So you really have to know what your overall goal is before you even determine your, calories. And before you determine your macronutrients, you're always going to want your calorie intake set before that.
All right, so moving on to macronutrients and fiber. Okay, so with macronutrients, so the first thing you want to do, what Eric was talking about, is you want to get your total calories for the end, or the calorie balance for the week, right? Okay, so once you have your calories set, from there you want to set your protein, your carbs, and your fats. Okay, so what we recommend as far as protein is the research shows is the RDA of the minimum is 0.8 grams per pound. Okay, a day. So that's the minimum. Okay, but we always recommend going above, maybe one gram per pound, or 1.1, or even 1.2 at the highest. Okay, because there's research to support that, and it just depends. Okay, if you're dieting, maybe you want to go at the higher end. If you're actually, in a surplus where you're trying to gain muscle mass, maybe you just need a little bit under 1 gram per pound, or even 1 gram. Okay. With fats, you want to set fats next. Okay. You can do anything from probably a 15% to 25% of total calories with fats. And there's good research to show that those are actually the ranges that you want to use, because anything lower than 15% kind of just starts dipping into lowering hormonal profiles like testosterone and stuff like that. Okay. And then whatever calories you have remaining from there, you want to use actually for carbohydrates. Okay, and the reason is carbohydrates isn't an essential macronutrient, but it kind of is essential because you need it for training performance. Okay, and then from there, with fiber, you definitely want to have some sort of fiber goal. Okay, anywhere from maybe 20 to 30 grams. And a good rule to start off with is for every 1,000 calories you're eating, maybe 10 grams of fiber. Okay, so if you're having 3,000 grams of or 3,000 calories, then maybe 30 grams of fiber would be good to start off with. Okay, so from there, you want to kind of have like either an 80-20 rule or a 90-10 rule. Okay, and that just depends on if you're in a surplus or if you're in a deficit. Okay, so let's say if you're in a deficit, you're trying to lose weight, maybe you want to go with the 90-10 rule, and that means 90% of your calories come from whole and minimally refined foods, right? 10% comes from non-traditional foods. Okay, and if you're actually, I think I got that wrong. So I said the 90-10 should be if you're actually trying to gain weight, okay? build muscle mass, and you want 80-20 if you're trying to lose weight, just because you don't have as much calories to work with. Adherence is going to be a little bit, tougher because you're dieting, right? So you want to have a little bit of wiggle room to have some of those non-traditional foods to keep you sane and keep adherence up, okay?
All right, so the next one we'll be talking about is micronutrients. Okay, so this can be considered as your, vitamins, your minerals. Some good examples would be, veggies. I know we all hate veggies, quote unquote, but they're very, very useful. They're good for our bodies. Fruits and just whole and minimally refined foods. Okay, so also known as nutrient dense foods. So all those foods, like I'll give a couple examples, like more of the foods that are on the lower glycemic index end. So let's say like breads, sweet potatoes, grains, all that stuff. They're going to have more essential vitamins and minerals that your body needs. So that's why I try telling people get a wide variety of good whole and minimally refined foods that are just more nutrient dense.
All right, next we have nutrient timing, okay? So with nutrient timing, you want to think about meal frequency, how many meals you're going to have throughout the day, okay? There's no minimum or maximum that's really like, that you have to do. It's just a personal preference thing. It seems like the research shows that, the sweet spot's anything from 3 to 5 meals per day, but do whatever works for your schedule and your goals, okay? Then you want to think about protein distribution, okay? So there's a lot of good research showing that protein distribution should be evenly distributed at each meal. So if you have 200 grams of protein per day, you want to have 50 grams of protein at each meal if you're having 4 meals, okay? And then macro distribution from there. How do you want to actually distribute your carbs and your fats? Because you kind of have some wiggle room with carbs and fats. There's really no research that shows you have to have an even distribution of carbs or fats, okay? So you can kind of play around with that and just figure out what you want, okay, and what works best for you on that. And then you want to think about pre and post workout nutrition. We're huge advocates of having more carbohydrates pre and post workout, just because you're more insulin sensitive, your body can regulate glucose a little bit better, and you just have more energy for your workouts, okay?
All right, so the last point on the hierarchy of nutrition is supplements. And, we're not very, very big on supplements because, there's not a whole lot of data on a lot of them. But, at the end of the day, they are supplements. So your body, you really don't need them. But, for extra insurance purposes, that's always a good thing. If you can fit it into your budget and you're not getting, all these vitamins and minerals through foods, then it's always a good thing to, have some supplements. So some basic ones that we can come up with is basic creatine monohydrate. Lots of good studies on that. Just for muscle mass. Just central nervous system, all that stuff. Also fish oil. Your body is fish oil is going to give you those essential fatty acids that you don't get through. Your body doesn't naturally produce. So and another one is BCAAs, branched chain amino acids. The main indicator of the sorry about that. The main branched chain amino acid is leucine, and that's what's going to stimulate muscle protein synthesis. So there's a lot of good data on that. So that's why we advocate BCAAs. And then the last ones are, calcium. If you're not getting a lot of calcium through, dairy products, then it wouldn't be a bad idea to take some calcium. And then fiber. We talked about that earlier, but if you're not getting enough fiber throughout the day, then possibly take a fiber supplement. And that's that with supplements.
All right, guys, so thanks for tuning in and learning about the hierarchy of nutrition. If you guys have any questions, feel free to email us or reach out to us on our social media platforms. But from there, just, subscribe to our channel. Visit us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and everything like that. And talk to you guys soon.
Thanks, guys.